This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. Deadlifts, chicken nuggets, video games. This is Check My Total, a powerlifting podcast with Timothy Payne and Andrew Hinson.
Welcome everybody to another episode. This episode we have a long-time Iron Boy veteran. She's also my sister and the voice of the whole federation, Miss Ashley Macon.
Thank you.
What an honor to have the voice of Iron Boy.
This is the first time I've heard my official title, so I'm pretty excited about that. The voice of Iron Boy.
It's like the voice of making music.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty big time. I mean, really.
Ashley, since she's the voice, she is our announcer at the competitions, and she's done about every single job you can think of, including all the jobs at the scores table, which is what we want to get into today, is what happens at the scores table during a competition, or at least an Iron Boy competition.
Right. Well, I think it is important, especially for new lifters, to kind of get a better understanding of what goes on at the scores table, because I think some think we have these weird rules just because we do, and the reality is we have a reason for most everything we do at the scores table, if not everything. So we can get into a little bit of the behind the scenes and see if we can bring some knowledge to people who don't know.
All right. So what exactly goes on at the scores table?
Okay. Well, I guess we can start from the time the lifter walks in and they're ready to weigh in. We have these index cards. They're like 6 or 7 inches long. And we'll have the lifter's name and, what they're competing in, like their division. And there's also spots for their attempts, whichever lifts they're doing. And so when a lifter walks in, either we already have the card filled out because they pre-registered, or we got to fill it out for them because they walked in, which is great. We are fine with walk-ins. So you get all that filled out, and then if you're a female, usually me or my mom Ginger will weigh you in. And if you are a male, 99% of the time it's going to be Timmy who is weighing you in. So you get weighed in. We write your weight down on this card. You have any insights about weigh-ins, Timmy, since you're the number one? I'm the voice.
Yeah, what's the weirdest thing? What's the weirdest thing that happened? Like,
the weirdest thing?
Does anyone get completely naked on you?
Some people, especially older men, are way too comfortable being naked, and I won't call it semi-public. I don't know, because you're not in public, but I'm still a stranger anyway. Kind of the weirdest, grossest thing I've ever seen are these people that wear, the plastics, the wetsuits. They're not wetsuits, but I'm blanking on the name right now.
The ones that make you sweat so you can make weight.
Yeah, when they're taking those off and it's just like pools of sweat. That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anything just really weird. I had to help somebody take their necklace off one time.
Take their necklace off? How much weight is that adding?
Well, I don't know. It was
are we
like a big
talking
old
like Flavor
medallion.
Flav had a big old clock around their neck, or what? What's going on here?
Close to it. It was an older dude, but just like a necklace with one of those like little lever things on the back of it. So we couldn't like unattach it, and then so I had to unattach it for him and then put it back on him.
That's funny.
Yeah, Gucci Mane.
It was like a cool like golden barbell or something. It was pretty neat. Yeah, but
that's
yeah,
cool.
Nothing.
We can start selling IBP bling,
If we can afford to get it made.
Tattoo. I want a tattoo that says IBP on my chest.
Oh.
We can make
I bet your
happen.
Fiance will love that. Go ahead and get it done before you get married.
Yeah, I don't think Becca would mind. I've always said if I was to ever get a tattoo, it'd be a tattoo of Pac-Man on my butt, so that way my butt crack is the mouth of Pac-Man. be like one face on the one side and the other face on the other side.
Oh,
So
my
you could lay
Lord.
on your side and like lift one leg up, and it can open and close its mouth.
Wah, 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 wah,
Waka waka.
wah. That's
man.
gonna if I get a tattoo, that's what I'm doing. That's the only tattoo I'll get.
Okay. Okay. So Pac-Man trumps Iron Boy. We understand. It makes sense.
Ugh.
Well, that's funny. It is funny, Timmy, that you say that older guys really don't care to bear it all. And what's funny is a lot of those guys who do that aren't close to either weight class. They're like in the middle. So it's not
Yeah.
like, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like they're trying to make a certain weight or anything. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're in the
I think it's just
275
'cause
class,
they can.
but they weigh like 255.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can understand, when we're talking coefficients and stuff, your body weight, but really a pound or two of clothes, I'm not going to feel like it's worth it to just bear it all in front of somebody I don't know.
It's probably because they've been to war or something, and they used to like
Yeah.
be on
True.
the front lines or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
They don't, and the older you get, the less embarrassed you are about anything in general. So
True
that's
that.
also, yeah. All right. So after you get weighed in, we will write your weight on your card, your registration card. And several years ago, Dad made a scoring spreadsheet. It's like an Excel sheet. And this really improved our scoring speed, to have everything computerized and to have all the scoring formulas already in there. And so when we get your card, we will put your name and your division and your weight and all of that good stuff in it. Also, when you get weighed in, we will ask what your first attempts may be. What you're going to open with on your bench or deadlift or whatever it is we're doing that day. And a lot of the time, we'll also put that in a spreadsheet to help us figure out what flight you might be in. I'm sure I'm boring the crap out of everybody, but y'all should ask some questions.
Wait, is this a good time to talk about the score? Like, what actually is the score?
Okay.
So, all right, Timmy, tell everyone what this math formula is.
Well,
yeah, Tim, tell us about it.
for men, we use what we call the Schwartz formula, and for women, we use do what?
I said, right, yeah.
Yeah, and for women, we use what we call the Malone formula.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm not sure how they actually came up with the numbers. I probably should have researched that.
I actually did because I'm on it. Just kidding. I read that this doctor in the 70s, Dr. Lyle Schwartz, he was a lifter, and he was associated with AAU. And he, according to Google, was one of the pioneers in lifting events and competitions. So he's the one that made up this whole thing. And I'm sure that we could go further in depth with that, but I don't understand numbers and formulas as it is, so it wouldn't do anybody any good. But just know it's been around since the 70s, and what it does is it takes your body weight, and it assigns a coefficient to it. So it's, we have a chart, and it's all in the spreadsheet. So when we enter your weight in, your body weight, it has a coefficient that goes with it. And then once you complete the meet, we will multiply, or the spreadsheet, I say we don't do it. The spreadsheet will multiply your total weight that you lifted times this coefficient that you were assigned. And that gives you a number. And that is how we determine who gets what place, basically.
And
Yeah,
you want
and
to
if you-
have the highest number.
Right, you want to have the highest number, yeah.
I think like golf. But basically, you can go on Google and like just type in Schwartz Malone formula,
Yeah.
and it pops up all these coefficients that every weight's considered for, and then
Right.
And the lighter you are, the better coefficient number you will have.
Definitely, which is maybe another reason why a lot of these old powerlifter people like to strip, so they can get a better coefficient. Who knows really, but the lighter you are, the better off you are.
Yeah.
And so, one question we always get, especially with newer lifters, we will do a few best lifters every meet. We might do a best lifter in the open, or we might do a female best lifter or a teen best lifter. And that's how we figure out the best lifter is this formula. We'll look in each category. We can sort our spreadsheet to females and look who had the best ending score, using their coefficient and their total. So that's basically how it's all done. And Dad worked so hard and has tweaked it so many times throughout the years, to where this spreadsheet he has designed scores the whole meet. He even has it updated now to where if you hit elite total numbers, like it shows up on the spreadsheet. So it's a pretty cool thing. And I think that that has given us an advantage for several years, that we've been able to score pretty quickly after the meet is over.
Yeah, it's always annoying having to wait a ton, like
Yeah,
after some of
yeah.
the other meets.
That's right. So I guess we can rewind a little bit, but once we start the meet, or before we start the meet, we're going to split people up into flights. And usually we're going to base that upon whatever weight you are opening with. And so we'll group people by a dozen or more in different flights. Sometimes we've had 4 or 5 flights. Sometimes we have 2, just depends on the size of the meet. And that's generally how those are organized, because on the platform, you really want the weight on the bar to be in order, or else your spotters and loaders are going to have to work much harder than they already do.
Yeah.
But you can probably elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, you don't want to have the bar set to 600 pounds and then have to strip it back down to 145.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense as far as efficiency, and it sure doesn't help your spotters and loaders out at all.
No. And I was just going to say, everything we do is to try to be efficient and make
Right.
everything run as smooth as possible. Like Ashley said at the beginning, you really, there's a rule and a reason for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason, is to be as efficient as we can.
Right.
And, not be in there 12 hours.
Mm-hmm. So, we'll put you in flights with people who are lifting similar amounts to you, and your card, once the meet starts, we've got all the cards in order. That card that we filled out for you and we put your weight on it and all that stuff, it's got your attempt on it. We keep those in order by attempt. So say you bench 400 pounds, you walk off the platform, you come to whoever's taking attempts at the table and tell them your next attempt. Part of that person's job is to put the next attempts back in order. So say you want to lift 420, but somebody who comes after you only wants to lift 410, then the attempt taker is going to move that 410 card in front of the 420 card. I think that's another thing that confuses new lifters. I think they look at the flight sheet at the beginning and they think that's going to be the order for the whole meet, when it changes depending on what kind of weight you put on the bar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. That's the mind games. That's the only mind game for powerlifting as far as trying to outplay your opponent, is you always open low, and that way no one expects you.
Right. And then it's really second attempts where you really see what people are going to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you just pull it out for the second and see what happens.
Right. And so, we have people who will give an attempt and then they want to come back to the table and change it again. And, a lot of the time we will go ahead and let you change it. But when it gets complicated, because, we're talking about the attempt taker. And like I said, it's their job to keep the cards in order. Well, every little while, the attempt taker takes a stack of cards, gives it to the announcer. So we're shuffling cards all day. So once the announcer, which is usually me, has those cards, I'm looking at those to announce what's going on the platform. So whoever's on the platform, they get a lift. I circle it or cross it out depending on whether or not they get it. I pass it to the attempt taker. The attempt taker takes several attempts and they pass them back to me. So if you come up, especially after those cards have already been passed back to me, it's hard for us, when we're trying to keep the meet running, to flip through these cards to change your attempt. And so, that's why we do have rules about attempt changes, and we ask that you be efficient with the attempt that you give us and that you try to be confident in it, because it does cause complications when I'm trying to announce and I start flipping through cards, and then sometimes cards get out of order. So again, there's another reason why we have certain rules.
60 seconds, people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny to watch people complete a lift and like they're like out of it and gassed, and like they don't even say there's next attempt. They just run off. You gotta go chase it down.
Yeah.
A few different things will happen there. Like, you have some people who just forget every single time. But then there are some people who are so excited they get a lift that they forget to come give their next attempt. And then, sometimes it takes several minutes for them to say, oh, yeah, I need to go back over there. And sometimes people are so, they just aren't thinking about it. We have to announce their name. Hey, Bob Jones, come on back. We didn't get your attempt from 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Which I'm about to pick on some people, but what I don't understand are the guys that have to get off the platform and then watch the video of their attempt.
Technology's the worst.
But my thing is, didn't you feel how it went? Like, why do I need to watch a video? I know how crappy it felt, or how good it felt. I don't understand that.
Over the past several years, where every phone now has a great camera in it,
Yeah.
people are just depending too much on it, because I feel like the same people who have to watch their video before they give their next attempt are the same people who watch their video after they work out, after every single thing they do. Which I think that's a good tool for you, especially if you don't have a workout partner or whatever it is. I think it's great to record yourself and be able to go back and see what you need to work on. But I don't necessarily think that looking at your lift after every single attempt is the best way to do it. But
just put your score on the like you just got up there on that platform and you just lifted. I'm telling you, these people, when they look at their phone, they're like, oh, I wonder how I look. You just felt it, you idiot. Like, either it felt good or it felt bad. Like, you don't need to analyze it. Your video don't tell you anything. You probably got just a front angle view that definitely don't tell you anything.
Yes.
Because your girlfriend was probably filming it, and your girlfriend don't know nothing about powerlifting. She's probably just going to do it on the forward-facing camera and not give you any side angle or anything. So, no, you don't watch the stupid video. You either it felt good or it felt bad. Go put your attempt on the table, and you can figure out how to get better likes on Instagram later.
You heard it here first,
what
people.
Andrew said.
I'm on a roll. I'll tell you, I got on a roll today. I'm telling you, I got on a roll today at work. I was coding this thing up, and I just looked up at these other two guys, and I was like, y'all ever get tired of these motivational speakers, man? Y'all ever get like everyone on their Instagram is a public figure now. I don't even know what that means. Everyone's a public figure. I don't even. I go to these stupid bios. And like these people got like 50 followers, and it's like public figure. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Public figure. You're alive. You're Googleable. I don't know what that means.
People in public know who you are.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I just don't understand it. And everyone's got the blue check nowadays. I'm about to figure out how to get a blue check on my Instagram.
I hope you do, Andrew. I hope Check My Total gets a blue check.
I'm about to get one.
Verified.
Verified.
I'm telling you, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Well, here's another thing that you can get on a soapbox about. What about when you get red lighted and instead of talking to the judge, you look at your video? What do you think about that?
Well, that's just dumb too. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
like it's the same thing. First off, your stupid girlfriend film from the front. How are you going to show what your depth is on your squat or anything? Like, how is that going to tell you if you red light it? Like, go talk to. I'm telling you, no. This is another thing I went off about today. I went off about everyone on their stupid phones and how they don't pay attention and how you want to know why people don't talk to judges when they red light you? It's not because they're like they're not concerned about why they got their. It's because they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to talk to people. They got their stupid phone out. They got and they've been on their phone for like the past 7 days and they haven't like looked up from it. And then they get a red light and it's like, oh my goodness, confrontation. And then they don't want to go talk to the judge because they don't know how to confront the judge because the last time they talked to a person was their mom after they finished the bag of Cheetos off.
And Mom said you did such a great job eating those Cheetos, honey.
No, I'm telling you, this is ridiculous. Like, go talk to the judge. If you don't know how to talk, that's a bigger problem. Like I don't know. I don't know what to do. If you can't talk to a judge that red lighted you, you got bigger problems in life.
Yeah.
One thing we don't do at the scores table is video review, so don't even try it.
Yeah, we've had lots of people try that, or like some people will come up and ask me why they got red lighted. Well, I'm not in a judge's chair, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have the right angle, and sometimes I'm trying to fix someone's attempt, old Billy Joe Bob over here, who wants me to fix or change their attempt. So I'm flipping through cards, and I may not have even seen what you did in the first place. So go ask the judges. It takes 1 second. We only have a minute or two between each lift anyway. They're not going to berate you. They're just going to say, hey, your butt came up, or hey, you didn't break parallel, or, you know, whatever it is. It's not anything crazy.
And we encourage that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're probably one of the only organizations that does, to where, yeah, if you miss a lift, come ask why.
Yes. Because we want you to succeed. We want you to break, you know.
And it only helps you. Go ahead, Andrew.
I watched this one competition. I don't know who did it or what it was, but it was probably something live stream. But the only reason I watched it was because there was a replay. This dude squatted, and then he got red lighted, and then all of a sudden there was like out of nowhere they're like, oh, the judges weren't too sure about that. Let's go to the replay board. I was like, replay board. I was like, replay board, and I watched it. They're like replaying it, and like it's a terrible angle. So like, it doesn't even do anything. But they were replaying it, and I was like, this is dumb. Like, this is like what happened to baseball. Like baseball you used to be safe or you used to be out.
Yeah.
And the base jockey would call you and be like, hey, you're safe or out, and that's it. There was no replay camera or nothing. And now in baseball they got replay cameras. And so like every time it's like you can't really tell. They like stop the whole game and then watch this replay tape. And I don't know which one's better. You know, should you have a more accurate game or should you just have a game that's more risk and more up in the air? I don't know. I do know one thing. I don't want to watch a squat replay because goodness, that's boring. You think you really think I'm that invested? I'm that invested. I'm gonna watch you squat the same weight again, so I can look
Andrew,
at your
have
butt.
you eaten today? Are you okay?
No, I haven't. No, that's part of the reason I'm off this thing. Is because I'll tell you what, I haven't had no dinner. I just came off the gym. I'm telling you, I'm going nuts. Going nuts.
Somebody get this man some nuggets.
He needs some milk.
Oh, man.
But there are organizations that have a panel, like you can, I guess you just contest the lift and then they go to this panel and they can overturn the judge's call.
The panel?
Yeah, you never heard about that? I'm pretty sure
I
it's
like how
like USAPL or IPF or something.
Available to do that. What is that? That's crazy.
People with the monies.
I guess.
Look, man, I'll squat high if I pay you $1,000. You gonna pass my squat? I'll squat 600 pounds. I'll slip you $1,000. It won't be long until powerlifting becomes a pay-to-win sport.
Oh.
It won't be long. What?
All right. Well, back to the task at hand.
I don't
So.
even know what you're talking about. I don't even know. Replays.
Replays, ridiculous. Moving on. Um, so we talked about attempts. We talked about keeping cards in order and what the announcer does. Another thing that Iron Boy does is when you come and weigh in, we have a song list, and we let you pick a song off of that list, and every time you enter the platform, your song plays. What's funny about that is way back in the early days when we first started doing this, like close to 20 years ago, um, all we had was a 5 CD changer. So we had a list long enough to have, whatever fit on 5 CDs. But anyway, I just think back at that and I think that's so hilarious, which no one else was doing that. No one else was taking the time to even play music on the platform. So it was still cool.
Yeah.
But I still kind of giggle thinking about how sometimes we had to wait for CDs to be changed and like. Anyway, that's just a side story. That's
a different age.
Andrew.
Yeah, it's a different age. Non-technological age, really. Well.
And plus, I think Iron Boy's probably the only one that still lets you actually pick your song.
Really?
I don't know if anyone else actually. I mean, they have music, but I mean, it's just kind of
Right.
like whatever's going on.
Right. Well, off of this list, we have each song has its own number. So on your card, so you pick Down with the Sickness, which there was also a time where we had to ban that song because everyone and their brother was picking it. And so
yeah, we took it off the list for a long time.
We did. We took it off the list for a while because back in like 2002, everybody wanted that song.
308 is the number.
308. There you go. So 308 was Down with the Sickness. You pick that song, we write it on your card. And the way that the scores table is set up, our Uncle Tom is our music man. So he sits on the far left and he's got the soundboard, he's got his computer with the song list and all the numbers of the song. And then I will sit next to him and I've got the cards laid out with the music numbers on them. So when you go up to the platform, I'm looking at your card. I'm announcing your name, your attempt, your rack height, whatever it is I need to announce. And Tom is looking at your card to see what song number you are. And he types in the song number and plays your song. So, we've also had people want to come up in the middle of a meet to try to change their song number. And that presents a whole lots of problems too, because we've got to dig out a song list or, Tom has already, sometimes he will, if it's a bigger meet especially, he might go ahead and make a playlist for a certain meet using only the song numbers of people who are there. So that's
Right.
less computer to have to sort through. So it causes a number of problems when people just want to change things and they don't consider what's going on behind the scenes.
That's true. Hey, what's I don't know what number my song is, but the primer. If anyone chooses the primer, remember I was the OG prime. The reason that song's on that list, the OG of that song.
I think there's one.
That's what Tim says when he puts a song out there, and then someone will use it and be like, "That's my song."
Yeah. The problem is I've put like 30 songs on that list.
True. So they're all his song.
Yeah, and only lifted about twice.
Funny.
There's a couple people that use it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh hey, that's Andrew's song.
The primer, man. Tell me.
The best song though is the one that Jim Shoaf uses. I don't even know the name of it.
Shipping up to Boston, Dropkick Murphy.
Shipping up to Boston, y'all. That is one of the best platform songs ever. I love it.
And you just got to know Jim too. It just fits.
Yes. I will never hear that song without thinking of him now, but he's a old school power lifter. He's in his 70s, late 70s, right? Yeah, he's awesome, and that's Jim's song, but anytime anybody uses it, I can't help but think of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on back there. I'm sure there is, but y'all think of anything that I'm missing?
Do you do any kind of prep before a meet, like to get in the right state of mind to announce?
No, I try not to think. Well, I've been announcing for many years now, but it was only the last 2 or 3 years that I've become the sole announcer. And sometimes when my husband Kyle comes, he will announce, but generally for at least the past couple of years, it's mostly me. But at first, a decade ago, when I would only announce a few times a year, I would actively not think about it because I didn't want to get nervous, if that makes any sense. To
Yeah,
me, it's easier to sit down, just do the thing, and not get worked up about it. Now I don't, it doesn't, you know,
yeah,
the most I'll do is I'll sit there before the meet, I'll flip through and just read all the names to myself. And if there are any names that I'm not sure about, I'll send Timmy or somebody to go to the lifter and ask them how to say their name.
yeah. Which is
Um,
another thing we'll try to do before the
yeah.
competition even starts, like
And
while they register.
And if we have anybody who lifts with us listening to this, and I'm not saying your name right, please tell the attempt taker, this is how you say my name, because I do. I want to say it the right way, and it's your day. You're the one lifting. I don't want that to be overshadowed because I keep pronouncing your name some weird way. So just let us know. We'll fix it.
Did we ever figure out how to pronounce Olivia's last name?
Oh, I did, but I could never do it consistently.
I think that
It was
one meet you
like
said it about 4 different times,
it,
or for 4 different ways.
Olivia. Okay, her name is Olivia oh, it was like Arichidiacono or something.
Goodness gracious.
Like
It was a
Italian or
weird name.
something.
So she would lift. We used to have these youth meets in Statesville. We still do youth meets, but they're not in Statesville anymore. Statesville, North Carolina, and so she was there consistently for those, and so I knew her for 2 or 3 years and could never get her name right. And so most of the time I would just say Olivia because she was the only Olivia. And I remember one time I actually got it right, and like their whole it was a middle school team, and it was like
Yeah,
all the team cheered when I said it right, and I was like,
yeah.
yes, thank you. This won't happen again.
Yeah, that was one of the best parts of that day. Oh,
Yeah,
everybody cheering in the crowd when
yeah.
you got her name right.
Yeah, that by far has been the hardest name to date.
And what's the weirdest or like hardest or I don't know, someone who's kept changing their do you have any crazy stories about people changing their attempts like 90 times before they lift?
Not well, I mean, there have been a few meets where the same person has changed every attempt at least once.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like if that happens, several people see it happening and they think they can
Mm,
do it too. So
yeah,
there have been meets in the past where it has been just insane. And I've gotten the cards out of order and like it is you have to pay attention to a lot in whatever position you're in a powerlifting meet. If you're the loader and spotter, you need to pay attention. If you're the platform manager, if you're the judge, it goes the same if you're running the music, because if you don't pay attention, you're going to run the wrong song. Same with the announcer. Like, I have to announce the name, and if we're squatting, the rack height. And another thing we like to do is if the bar stays the same, I have to pay attention to what the card that just lifted did. Like, if the lift that just ended, say, I'd be like, all right, lift is good. I have to look at that card and the card before to see if the bar is the same. And I'd say bar stays at 400 and go on. And then if I'm doing the squat, I have to say bar stays at 400, rack stays at 5 out. And so I've got all this stuff I have to pay attention to. And when I have people behind me being like, change my blah blah, it's hard to get a flow going. So I don't have any crazy stories, but I just remember one meet in particular. It was like everybody wanted to change their attempt after I already had their card back. So that was a crazy day. I think we had like a misloaded bar that day too, and like, anyway, there's just a lot of details, and that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, be considerate, people. Know your
Right.
attempts. Know what feels good, what don't feel good.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of that problem comes from they'll give an attempt and then they'll watch their phone, or they'll go talk to their buddies and their buddies will say, well, you didn't look that strong, or well, you look like you could do more. I think that's where a lot of the problem comes from. So I think, like you said, be confident in what you're doing and just do it.
That's right. Be confident, people.
Be confident.
Well, do you want to play red light, white light?
Yeah. I don't know what you're going to ask me, but yeah.
All right.
You got anything off the
White
top of your
light,
head, Andrew?
red light, blue check by your Instagram name.
White light?
Getting verified.
Yeah.
We're going to have to Google that, figure out how to get our check.
I'm Googling it right now.
Followers.
I'm Googling
Probably.
this right now. I'm about to figure this thing out. About to give me that stupid blue check, and then I'm going to put public figure in my bio. Public
All right.
figure.
So red light, white light, doing another job while Kyle is announcing. Or would you rather be announcing? That's kind of not a white light, red light, but...
Oh, I would rather announce, but Kyle is a good announcer too, but he's a public speaker by trade, so he does a good job. I just most of the time would rather announce. Although I don't mind taking attempts, and I've also been in the judge's chair often too, so I don't know. There's not a good answer to that question. Some days when I'm not feeling good, I'm glad Kyle's there and I don't have to do it. So there you go. I didn't answer for real. That's a half answer.
All right, hold on. I'm about to get that blue check. I figured it out. They got a place. They got a place on Instagram. It says request verification. I'm doing it for check my total.
Okay. But did you...
Question though,
Is
if
there...
they deny you, can you apply again later?
Yeah.
Or if it's like you didn't get it, you're never gonna get it.
Oh my goodness! Holy cow, man! This is I don't even know how to do it. Please attach a photo of your ID. We require a government issued photo ID that shows your name of birth and all that.
Is that all you have to do, really? I mean, that's crazy, but still, is that all you have to do to be verified?
Looks like it.
Well, shoot.
Everybody getting verified.
Seriously. I'll
Man.
do that tomorrow.
I don't know what we do for check my total since we both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Guess you can just post a picture. I don't know.
I don't know.
Public figure, people. All right. White, red light, Burger King.
All right, so you cut out. I don't know if it's my internet or whatever, but all I heard was
cut out.
white light Burger King.
So that's the answer.
All right, white light, red light, Burger King.
If I'm not on plan, white light.
But if you're on the bean life,
But if I'm
The
on my
bean-
bean life, which I need to be every day, red light.
You want to tell everyone what this bean life is?
Sure, we can go into that. Andrew coined us eating a plant-based diet, the bean life, a few years ago. But me and some other family members a few years ago just really dramatically decreased the amount of meat we eat. And so when we're on plan, we're not eating any dairy, we're not eating any meat, we're eating mostly whole fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And I've had a lot of success with it. Like earlier this year, when I actually was consistent, I lost about 40 pounds in about 3 months. And then I just got off track again, like always. So I'm getting back on it here next week, and hopefully we'll keep trucking.
Yeah. The bean life, people.
The bean life. Get
The
with it, man.
pinto beans. The green beans.
Hey, especially if you're lifting, you got to get that protein somewhere. So you got to get that bean life going.
Oh man, I just can't give up that meat. It's too savory. It's too savory.
Well, all right, Andrew. Don't you have one more question?
I don't know. Do I?
Not red light, white light, but your new segment.
Oh, my new segment. Yeah. We got
I
the
didn't
new
prepare for
segment.
this.
The marriage advice gauntlet. I gotta pull up my sheet so I can write whatever you say down.
Oh, okay.
So first off, how long have you and Kyle been married?
We've been married 6 years. Our anniversary is December 15th, so not too long ago.
All right. So you gotta give me different marriage advice. You can't give me the same marriage advice you gave me the other week.
Oh, I should at least get an honorable mention for that.
All right. You told me to make sure they don't snore or something, I think.
Andrew's a good listener, y'all. We just mentioned how Kyle had a snoring problem, and we resolved that, and everyone was happier after that. I don't know if there's any advice that came to that.
Get tested, people.
Snoring
Get
under
tested for your
control.
sleep. Oh, my other advice was separate blankets.
Oh yeah.
In the bed,
yeah.
which is a good one for real, especially if like one of you is more hot natured than the other, which is us. And it keeps you from fighting over the same blanket all night long. So separate blankets is a good one. Also, just communicating. Like, part of marriage is having some unpleasant conversations sometimes. You don't necessarily want to have certain conversations, but I think if you keep a clear line of communication and you talk to each other about things that aren't going well, you're going to become stronger. I mean, don't bottle things in and then blow up over nothing because you aren't talking to your spouse about things that you need to discuss. So that's really my number one advice is communicate and just talk about it. Even if it gets ugly, work through it and things will be better on the other side.
All right. Communicate.
Write it down.
Communicate and work through the hard problems.
Yep.
All right. There's advice number 2.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank y'all for having me on here. I'm sorry if I was a big boring, but sometimes details are kind of boring.
No, it was all good. Got me fired up, I'm telling you.
I think you need to go to Burger King as soon as you hang up the phone.
Getting fired up, and I'm tired. I'm just tired of all this junk in my kid. So if you're one of these people getting off that platform, and you look at your stupid little phone on your little Instagram account, and the video that's been filming of you just squatting, going, oh, what's my now? Wow, to look on the video. Well, guess what? You just lifted. If you don't know, then you have some serious self-awareness issues, and you couldn't see a mountain if it was right in front of you. So what you need to do is get some glasses, get some better self-awareness, and know if it felt good or bad. It's your body. You just lifted the weight. You don't need your girlfriend to show you the video. And I'm tired of this. If you got one of these blue checks, I don't care. You're a public figure. What does that even mean? I really don't know what that means. Public figure. Like everyone on this earth is public. No one, unless you in a bunker, unless you in Alcatraz, you public. Like, I do not understand these Instagram accounts that have public in them. It's ridiculous that everyone's on their phone and they can't talk to no one, and that's why people get red lighted, and they don't know why, because they don't talk. They have anxiety problems. They got severe depression, and it's just a bad situation. People, get a life. Go outside. The sun is out. It's a good day. It's a good day above the grass. It's a great day above the grass. So go outside, live your life, continue to go to the gym, appreciate the scoring table, don't do anything stupid, don't change your attempts for 900 times. You can change it every now and then if you ain't feeling confident, but not too much, because that's just too much. I'm tired of this. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything. I've been coding too long. I gotta get me some food. Well, I appreciate everyone listening. Great time. We love you as a fan. I cut my toenails off for you. I love you all. See ya.
We're out.
Yeah, drop the mic.
Up next is the Western Carolina Powerlifting Open on February 2nd in Morganton, North Carolina. Come help us usher in the new year.
Please subscribe and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @CheckMyTotal on Instagram for all the latest updates.